Success does not come from massive overnight changes. It does not come from a single breakthrough, a lucky opportunity, or one grand moment of transformation. It comes from small, consistent improvements every single day. The key to long-term success is not in sudden leaps, but in the compounding effect of daily progress. Just 1% better each day may seem insignificant in the moment, but over time, it leads to extraordinary results. Most people underestimate the power of small changes. They believe that improvement has to be dramatic, that change has to be immediate. They look at successful people and think they got there because of talent, intelligence, or some special advantage. But the truth is, success is built in the tiny decisions, the choices made in the quiet moments. When no one is watching, the difference between those who succeed and those who stay stuck is the commitment to getting just a little better every single day. It does not take much to change your life. It just takes consistency. If you commit to improving by 1% every day, by the end of a year, you will not just be 65% better. Because of the power of compounding, you will be over 37 times better than when you started. That is the difference between average and unstoppable. The difference between staying the same and becoming unrecognizable in your growth. But most people never see this kind of transformation because they quit too soon. They give up before they allow compounding to work in their favor. They expect instant results, and when they do not see them, they stop. They go to the gym for a week, see no difference, and quit. They start a new habit, miss a few days, and abandon it. They take action, but when progress feels slow, they lose motivation. Successful people think differently. They understand that real change happens over time. They do not focus on perfection. They do not try to be 100% better in a single day. They commit to small, steady improvements, knowing that progress builds on itself. They trust the process. They show up daily. They do the work even when it feels like nothing is happening. And because they stay consistent, they eventually reach levels others only dream about. The secret is not in making massive leaps. It is in mastering the little things, the small habits, the micro improvements, the details that seem unimportant today, but create unstoppable momentum over time. If you focus on becoming just a little better than you were yesterday, that improvement will stack. And before you know it, your entire life will be different. So the question is, how do you do it? How do you commit to getting just 1% better every day? How do you stay consistent when the results are not immediate? How do you build a system that guarantees progress no matter how small? Every single day that guarantees progress, no matter how small, every single day comes down to a few key principles. 5 principles that, when applied consistently, create the foundation for lifelong growth. Once you understand them, once you apply them, you will never feel stuck again. You will never wonder if success is possible for you. You will know that as long as you are moving forward, even just a little, your future is getting better. Because the truth is, improving by 1% every day is not just a strategy. It is a mindset, a philosophy, a way of life. And once you commit to it, everything changes. The first key to improving by 1% every day is mastering consistency. Small improvements only compound when they are repeated over time. One great effort does not create transformation. Daily effort does. The challenge is that most people struggle with consistency. They start strong but fade quickly. They get excited about change but lose motivation. When the results are slow, they wait for inspiration instead of building discipline. And because they lack consistency, they never see the real impact of small improvements over time. If you want to become unstoppable, you must make consistency non-negotiable. It cannot be something you do only when you feel like it. It must become part of who you are. You do not brush your teeth only when you feel motivated. You do it because it is a habit. You do not question it. You do not negotiate with yourself about it. That is how you must approach self-improvement. The first step to mastering consistency is eliminating the mindset of perfection. Most people fail because they set unrealistic expectations. They believe that if they cannot do something perfectly, they should not do it at all. They tell themselves, if I don't have an hour to work out, I won't work out at all. If I don't have time to read a full chapter, I won't read at all. This all or nothing thinking is the fastest way to stay stuck. But successful people, they remove the need for perfection. If they cannot do an hour, they do 10 minutes. If they cannot do 10 minutes, they do 2. They know that something is always better than nothing. They do not focus on intensity. They focus on consistency. They train themselves to take some kind of action every single day, no matter how small. The second step is building systems, not relying on motivation. Motivation is unreliable. Some days you will feel inspired. Other days you will not. If you only take action when you feel motivated, you will never be consistent. The key is to create systems that make improvement automatic. Systems eliminate the need for willpower. They remove the guesswork. They make it easier to take action than to skip it. A system could be as simple as having a set time for certain habits. If you want to improve your fitness, schedule your workouts at the same time every day. If you want to become a better reader, commit to reading at a specific time, even if it's just 5 minutes. If you want to develop a skill, dedicate a small window of time each day to practice. The more structured your habits, the less effort it takes to stay consistent. The third step is tracking progress to build momentum. Progress builds confidence. When you see improvement, even in small amounts, it fuels your motivation. But most people do not track their progress. They do not notice the small wins, and because they do not see results fast enough, they assume they are not improving. This leads to frustration, and frustration leads to quitting. Successful people track their habits. They use simple systems, a notebook, a calendar, a checklist, to visually see their consistency. When they work out, they mark it down. When they practice a skill, they record it. And when they see the streak growing, they become more motivated to keep going. This turns improvement into a game, one where progress is rewarding and quitting feels like a loss. The fourth step is removing obstacles to consistency. Most people struggle to stay consistent because their environment makes it difficult. They rely on willpower instead of designing a space that supports their habits. If your phone is full of distractions, you will struggle to focus. If your kitchen is full of junk food, you will struggle to eat healthy. If your home is cluttered, you will struggle with productivity. Your environment shapes your behavior more than you realize. Successful people design their environment for success. If they want to read more, they keep books where they can see them. If they want to exercise, they lay out their workout clothes the night before. If they want to eat healthier, they remove temptations. They set themselves up to win instead of relying on willpower. The final step is making identity-based decisions. Most people try to build habits by focusing on what they want to do. They say, I want to eat healthier. I want to wake up early. I want to be more disciplined. But they never become the kind of person who does those things. Naturally successful people do not just adopt new habits. They adopt a new identity. Instead of saying, I want to work out, they say, I am the type of person who never skips a workout. Instead of saying, I want to read more, they say, I am the type of person who never goes a day without learning. Instead of saying, I want to be more productive, they say, I am the type of person who makes the most of every hour. When you shift your identity, consistency becomes easier. You do not have to force yourself to take action. You do it because it is who you are. And when you act in alignment with that identity, small improvements happen automatically. So ask yourself, am I trying to change my actions? Or am I changing my identity? Am I waiting for motivation? Or am I building systems? Am I letting perfection stop me? Or am I choosing progress over excuses? Because once you master consistency, you unlock the power of small improvements. And once you improve by just 1% every day, nothing can stop you. Once you master consistency, the next key to improving by 1% a day is stacking small wins. Progress is built on momentum. When you create small victories, they build confidence. They reinforce the belief that you are moving forward. And the more small wins you collect, the easier it becomes to keep improving. Most people overlook the power of small wins. They think success comes from one big breakthrough. They believe they need massive results to feel progress. But this thinking is wrong. The biggest accomplishments are built on the foundation of tiny victories. Every great achievement in history started with small, consistent steps that compounded over time. The first step to stacking small wins is focusing on progress, not perfection. Perfection is a trap. It keeps people stuck. It makes them afraid to take action. It creates unrealistic expectations that lead to frustration. But progress is different. Progress is about moving forward. No matter how small the step, it does not have to be perfect. It just has to be better than yesterday. If you commit to doing one more rep in the gym, that is a win. If you read one more page than yesterday, that is a win. If you wake up 5 minutes earlier, that is a win. These small improvements may seem insignificant, but when stacked daily, they create unstoppable momentum. The second step is setting micro goals that lead to bigger achievements. Most people set huge goals, but never break them down into daily actions. They look at the big picture and feel overwhelmed. They focus on how far they have to go instead of what they can do right now. And because they feel overwhelmed, they do nothing. Successful people think differently. They do not just set big goals. They break them down into tiny winnable actions. If their goal is to read 50 books in a year, they do not focus on 50 books. They focus on reading a few pages every day. If their goal is to build a business, they do not try to do everything at once. They focus on completing one small task at a time. If their goal is to improve their fitness, they do not aim for perfection. They focus on making healthier choices each day. They understand that massive results come from tiny, repeated efforts. Instead of focusing on the finish line, they focus on winning each day. The third step is celebrating small wins to reinforce progress. The human brain is wired for reward. When you recognize your wins, your brain releases dopamine, which increases motivation and strengthens new habits. But most people ignore their progress. They only celebrate big milestones. And because those milestones take time, they feel like they are not making progress. Successful people make a habit of acknowledging every win. They track their workouts and celebrate improvements no matter how small. They keep a journal of daily progress, even if it is just a sentence about what they did well. They give themselves credit for following through on their commitments. And because they recognize their progress, they stay motivated to keep going. The fourth step is compounding your wins by staying consistent. Success is built like a staircase. Each small step builds on the one before it. If you improve by just 1% every day, those improvements multiply. What starts as a small win today becomes a massive advantage in the future. Think of it like compound interest. If you invest a little every day, over time, the growth becomes exponential. The same happens with self-improvement. The first few days may feel slow, but the longer you stay consistent, the faster progress accelerates. Most people quit before they allow momentum to build. They stop before they see the real effects of compounding. But those who stick with it experience life-changing transformation. The final step is shifting your identity. To become someone who always wins. Most people see success as something they achieve, but the most successful people see it as something they are. They do not just aim for improvement. They embody it. They do not just chase goals. They become the type of person who naturally wins every day. If you want to improve by 1% every day, you must change the way you see yourself. Instead of saying, I want to be productive, say, I am the type of person who takes action every day. Instead of saying, I want to be disciplined, say, I am someone who follows through no matter what. Instead of saying, I hope I get better, say, I improve every single day. Your actions will always align with your identity. If you see yourself as someone who always wins, you will find ways to win even in difficult situations. If you see yourself as someone who improves every day, you'll naturally seek ways to get better. Your habits will follow your self-image every day. You will naturally seek ways to get better. Your habits will follow your self-image. So ask yourself, Am I waiting for big wins or am I stacking small wins every day? Am I aiming for perfection or am I focused on progress? Am I tracking and celebrating my success or am I ignoring the progress I've already made? Because once you commit to small daily wins, success becomes inevitable. Once you develop the habit of stacking small wins, the next key to improving by 1% every day is developing an unstoppable mindset. Growth is not just about action. It is about the way you think, the way you see yourself, the way you handle challenges, the way you push through resistance. When things get tough, most people sabotage their progress because they have not trained their mind to support their success. They let fear, doubt, and hesitation take control. They start strong, but when they face difficulty, they tell themselves, this is too hard. I'm not good enough. Maybe this isn't for me. And just like that, they stop. They break their streak. They lose momentum. And they go back to their old patterns. But successful people think differently. They do not wait for things to be easy. They do not wait until they feel confident. They do not let temporary emotions dictate their long-term success. They build a mindset so strong that nothing, no setback, no challenge, no failure can stop them. The first step to developing an unstoppable mindset is rewriting your self-image. Most people see themselves as limited. They tell themselves stories about why they cannot succeed. They say things like, I'm not disciplined. I've never been good at this. I'm just not that kind of person. And because they believe these things, they act in ways that reinforce them. Things like, I'm not disciplined. Never been good at this. I'm just not that kind of person. And because they believe these things, they act in ways that reinforce them. If you want to improve by 1% every day, you must upgrade your identity. You must tell yourself a new story. Instead of saying, I struggle with consistency, say I am someone who shows up every day. Instead of saying, I've never been confident, say I am becoming more confident every day. Instead of saying, I am not disciplined, say I am committed to my growth. I am someone who shows up every day. Instead of saying I've never been confident, say, I'm becoming more confident every day. Instead of saying I'm not disciplined, say, I am committed to my growth. Your mind will believe whatever you tell it most often. If you tell it you are weak, you will act weak. If you tell it you are strong, you will act strong. If you tell it you are unstoppable, you will find a way to push through any challenge. And the second step is developing mental resilience, the ability to keep moving forward, no matter what. Most people quit too soon. The moment they face resistance, they stop. They tell themselves this isn't working. But success is not about never facing resistance. It is about pushing through it. Think of it like lifting weights. The first few reps are easy. But the moment you start feeling the burn, that is when growth happens. If you stop, when it gets uncomfortable, you never build strength. The same applies to success. The moment things get difficult, that is when mental toughness is built. That is when you must push forward instead of giving up. The third step is turning obstacles into fuel. Most people see problems as roadblocks. They think if things were easier, I would be successful. But successful people, they use obstacles as a tool for growth. They look at every challenge and ask, how can this make me stronger? If they face failure, they analyze it and learn. If they experience rejection, they use it to improve. If something goes wrong, they see it as a lesson. They understand that struggle is not a sign to quit. It is a sign they're growing. The fourth step is building emotional control. Most people let their emotions dictate their actions. If they feel motivated, they take action. If they feel tired, they make excuses. If they feel discouraged, they stop. But successful people, they do not let emotions control them. They take action no matter what. They know that motivation comes and goes, but commitment is what matters. They train themselves to push forward whether they feel like it or not. They develop the ability to detach from emotions and focus on the mission. And because they act consistently, their emotions start following their actions instead of the other way around. The final step is conditioning your mind for long-term success. Success is not a short-term game. It is not about quick results. It is about the ability to keep improving for years. And to do that, you must train your mind to stay hungry. Most people reach a certain level and get comfortable. They make some progress and think this is enough. But successful people, they never stop pushing. They never stop growing. They never settle. They keep looking for ways to get 1% better even when they are already winning. This is what separates those who succeed once from those who keep succeeding. The greatest athletes, leaders, and entrepreneurs in history did not stop improving. When they reached success, they pushed even harder. They understood that the moment you stop growing is the moment you start declining. So ask yourself, am I thinking like someone who improves every day? Am I making excuses or pushing through resistance? Am I using challenges to grow, or am I letting them hold me back? Because once you develop an unstoppable mindset, there is nothing that can keep you from improving by 1% every day.